Live right here on this Tuesday on the early line on SportsGrid. We are well past the midway point of this NBA season in 2023-24. For instance, the Denver Nuggets played their 48th game of the year last night. 82 regular season games, 41 the midway point. The reigning NBA champs have played 48. Most teams around the league at least 46 games so far this year. So, Donnie, as we pick it up in the association, as an NFL season winds to a close, it is a good time here at the end of January to look at where the league stands overall in the chase for an NBA championship, that Larry O'Brien trophy this year. We go back to opening night, October 24th, around the association. The Boston Celtics were the favorites to win the NBA championship, plus 380. Co-favorites, in fact, alongside Milwaukee. The Bucks, after the acquisition of Damian Lillard, a plus 380 price. We talked about this phenomenon, Donnie, entering this 2023-24 NBA campaign, the Big Four. From the odds makers' perspective, plus 550 for the Nuggets, the defending champs, alongside the Phoenix Suns, plus 550. Everybody else around the league had at least a quadruple-digit price or greater, including the Clippers at 27-1 or the Sixers at 27-1. It seemed like it would be a four-team race in both the Eastern Conference with the top two, Boston and Milwaukee, in the top two out west, Phoenix and Denver.
Yeah, and if we're looking at these odds here, right, and just to focus on the Eastern Conference, this is about what we expected, right? I thought Boston was the best overall team possibly in the NBA, but certainly in the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee not that far behind, as you see them 1-2 in the standings currently in the NBA. The Philadelphia 76ers being in third place, not really surprising, but maybe mildly surprising, because I didn't know what we would be getting out of Joel Embiid this NBA season. He's been fantastic, but now a couple games in a row they've lost. Joel Embiid with a couple more injury information to worry about. That knee is flaring up. Is he going to get to be the MVP? But we thought they would probably land somewhere around 3, 4, 5, or even 6 here in the East. And also the Cleveland Cavaliers, Pacers, Heat. You get the point here. But if we flip it over to the Western Conference, this is what we didn't expect. Yes, we knew the Denver Nuggets were a great basketball team, and quite frankly, only a half game out of the top spot now in the Western Conference. That was anticipated. The Clippers getting that James Harden move, we figured they probably would be pretty good. Now they're sitting at that 4 seed. They were terrible to start the season, but now playing great basketball. A mild surprise, maybe, if you're looking there. And also, you take a look at teams behind the Phoenix Suns, the Sacramento Kings. We expected them to be in the top 6. But the teams maybe we didn't expect to be rising to the occasion this far in the NBA season, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So you're getting a little bit of that nice flavor out in the West. Like, hey, up-and-coming teams that haven't done it in the playoffs, maybe they can get it done. So just looking between the East, which I expected, the West is much more fun because teams at the top of the standings, I didn't expect to be there, Ben.
And those are by far the biggest movements from what you will see on the NBA's opening night to where we stand right now. 55-1, the number on Minnesota, a playoff team a season ago, the 8th seed out west that lost in 5 games to the eventual champs, the Denver Nuggets. But some postseason pedigree for the T-Wolves over the last 2 seasons, play-in tournament experience, playoff experience last year. OKC on the rise as well, a young core that seems ready for the occasion. 70-1 before the year got underway, now 19-1 for Oklahoma City. By far the biggest and most drastic moves around the association. But what's so interesting, Donnie, is the parallels that you can make between two teams that were at 27-1 before the year got underway that engaged in the first blockbuster deal of this NBA campaign. Philly and LA, that being the Clippers, both 27-1 before the year got started. Both have seen tremendous movement in their favor. The Clips now 4th best price to win an NBA championship at 7-1. Take off $20. Philadelphia 11-1. Of course, it was the James Harden deal to Los Angeles. The vibes felt free in Philadelphia. At first, it did not work with the Beard and LA. Now it has. We have said this, I can't even count how many times here on the early line, but LA was 8-10 at the end of November, 2 games below 500. Now 30-15. They are 22-5 in the last month and a half, nearly 2 months of NBA action. The Clippers are for real in the Western Conference. The Clippers have a better price to win the Western Conference than the Phoenix Suns. We'll focus on LA in just a moment. Donnie, the only team that has seen negative market movement in those 7 NBA clubs we have featured in that market movement board, the Phoenix Suns, plus 550 to win the NBA championship before the season, a co-favored number to win the Western Conference alongside the Denver Nuggets. A 12-1 price now for Phoenix, still 6th best in the NBA. But the Suns really haven't been at full health, full availability for most of the season. The last 2.5 weeks or so, the big three in the Valley, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, have been on the floor together, and we have seen it a little bit more in those wins and losses in terms of the results adding up for Phoenix.
Yes, and I do believe Phoenix has a legitimate chance to win an NBA championship because it's unlike any other sport, right? You take a look at the NFL. The regular season means a lot, Ben. Where you end up in the standings at the end of the season means you're going to play in Santa Clara like the 49ers did, or you could have played that game in Detroit. That might have been a massive swing on who actually advanced to the Super Bowl. It's not really the case in the NBA. It's getting your team healthy into the playoffs, and also the playoff structure when you have a veteran team, which Phoenix does. You're not playing on back-to-backs, Ben, right? You're not in Dallas one night and then you're flying out to LA, play the very next night to see if your guys can be rested and ready, and if maybe two of the three guys in the big three can play, maybe only have one left over. In the playoffs, as we know, the first round is not a sprint. It is a marathon, which means you're playing 7 games here and you're lining up on a night-to-night basis where you say, I'm going to play on a Monday. You might not play again till Friday of that week. So if you're a veteran player, that is huge here. So when you see those price points here for Phoenix, it makes some sense even, Ben. If it hasn't worked out in their favor in the regular season, you have to grade the playoffs completely different. It's the same way we bring up the Lakers a lot. You look at the Lakers in the regular season. Yes, they won the in-season tournament. I get that. But if you ask me right now, hey, can the Lakers win a championship? No, they don't look nearly as good enough to even come close to winning the Western Conference. But you get LeBron James and Anthony Davis in a playoff set for 7 games. You got to beat them in 4 of them, and you're playing every 3 to 4 days. That's a major advantage for the Los Angeles Lakers. So that price point on Phoenix makes a lot of sense because, Ben, I'm not handicapping what I see now. I'm handicapping when that big three is healthy in the playoffs, and you got to take them out and win 4 times in 7 games against them.
And unlike the Lakers right now or Los Angeles a season ago, the Lakers had to get out of the play-in tournament to earn the 7th seed in the Western Conference and ended up making a run to the Western Conference Finals. Those things can happen given the structure of the NBA. 10 teams technically make some form of postseason basketball with 7 through 10 into the play-in tournament. That means only 5 teams in a conference have an early exit after the end of a regular season. And if Phoenix is one of those 10 teams, I will guarantee you they will be favored in both of their games in the play-in tournament to try to be one of the final 8 in the Western Conference postseason. But Phoenix is not at the moment, and they've won 8 of their last 10 games, a 7-game win streak that was snapped over the weekend. They continue a long East Coast swing, and last night, as a 2.5-point underdog on the second leg of a back-to-back in Miami, the Suns had all their big three play, but neither KD, Devin Booker, who has scored at least 40 points in 3 straight games, entering last night with 62 over the weekend. Neither Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, or Bradley Beal were the leading scorer for Phoenix. It was the veteran Eric Gordon with 23 points off the bench. So Phoenix has won now 8 of their last 10 games, 7 games above 500, 27-20, a full game up on both Dallas and New Orleans to stay out of the play-in tournament and to be one of the top 6 in the Western Conference. Now as we go to the LA Clippers, 30-15. 4th best record in the Western Conference. We have shared, again, 22-5 since the end of November, and one of those 5 losses came yesterday in what both Donnie and I considered a tough spot for LA. On the road against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the line was working against LA all morning, afternoon long. It closes only a 1.5-point spread in favor of the Clippers. It was 3.5 when we started speaking here on the early line yesterday. And the Cavs are playing really good basketball as well. Cleveland now has won 10 of their last 11 games. They were victorious last night at home, 118-108. So even with that, the Clippers are still 15 games above 500. LA has still won 22 of its last 27 games. Yesterday on the show, James Young said he predicts and picks the LA Clippers to win the Western Conference crown. What do you think the outlook is, Donnie, for the Clips this season?
Here's the tough thing, because if we're going for trends, right, we're again shouldn't really play into this season, different players, different season as it goes into it. We know the Clippers don't show up in the playoffs. And it's not to say, Ben, that they don't play well when they get to the playoffs. Their players just aren't available in the playoffs. You tell me right now, James Harden's healthy. You tell me right now, Kawhi Leonard and also Paul George are ready to go game number 1 in the playoffs, and they're going to have a healthy run. Let's forget about if they even win the NBA championship. Just give me those players on the court throughout the entirety of the playoff run. If it's one round or goes right to the finals, I actually really like their chances. But it feels the same way you can mirror them with an Eastern Conference team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Whether it's the 1 seed, the 4 seed, or the 5 seed, it doesn't matter. When they get to the playoffs, Joel Embiid is either sick for a game, or his knee injury flares up, or he breaks a bone in his face at that point. Things always creep up poorly for the Sixers and the Clippers here. If you want to remove that from the equation and just look at the Clippers, and next week is the trade deadline, if they fortify that team anymore, why can't they win a championship? But I just can't get out of my head. You're taking the Clippers, and in round number 2, you go, look at this. Kawhi's knee flared up, and Paul George is nowhere to be found in some COVID protocols at this point. It's hard to get over that. Talent-wise, they can win it. But for my money, I don't think I could take the Clippers here.
7-1 right now for the LA Clippers, 4th best price to win that NBA championship. To the end of an NFL season for many teams, how the offseason now looks up next.